Hi everyone, today is Friday, January 31st, and this morning I took my kids to school, and then when I came back, I was getting breakfast and eating next to my window with coffee and thinking of topics to start the first week of the next challenge for February and reflecting on some things about. For example, just 2 days ago was the Lunar New Year, and the symbol, the animal is the snake, serpent, and earlier this week I was reflecting a little bit on kind of snake skin and this kind of shedding and also like crab shells that they kind of need to get something a bigger, um, like the hermit crabs that needed kind of upgrade to a bigger space. So that's something. And there's a podcast I've been listening to that it's talking about like how we are uh, developing who we want to become instead of kind of looking backwards. Uh, So I'm trying to encourage those kinds of topics for the first week, and also looking at dates that of finding ways to reflect a little bit on some just random historical dates here and there. And I saw one about uh, the tulip mania in the Netherlands back in the middle of the 1630s, late 1630s, when it sounds surprising now, but all these tulip bulbs were had these like contracts and almost like a stock market kind of bubble speculation and then people satisfying those intentions to purchase, and then eventually just the thing kind of just collapsed on the price and somebody wanting to lower the price and nobody kind of signing up. Um, so that was apparently one of these first bubbles, and more recently there's been other things that we've seen of like tech. I .com kind of a bubble 25 years ago, and like 2008 a housing market crisis with the subprime mortgages and just that just went south very quickly, and then uh, probably even a little bit more. I've heard podcasts that's also these like Beanie Baby people wanting to buy this, sell it, and then think that they could put their kids through college with these collectibles. Um, and even right now, there seems to be a boom with AI technology and stock market investments and things. So there seems to be these, or even these like NFTs that seem to, and cryptocurrency things. I mean, there's interest, and then it kind of early adopters, middle, and then something kind of fades. But so there's something in there to reflect a little bit on kind of what does that reveal about us. And there's another topic I was looking at. There's Groundhog Day, what the day about the winter and how much time is there or not. And then the movie, which is one of my favorites for um, this kind of transformation and making the most of each day. It still is one of my favorites. It goes back about like since '93, and I've reflected on that one quite a lot. I did some essays in college about that, and there was I think I also saw like um, a lunar orbiter that was launched in 1967 in early February. And the purpose of the orbiter was to find potential landing sites that for what would then be Apollo 11 for the landing. So this kind of planning in advance uh, is part of a process, and um, and then also looking at also in the early week of February, back in 1952, um, when Princess Elizabeth was in Kenya and found out about her father's passing away, George the Sixth. Um, so at the age of 25, she became queen overnight, and and then back to to London, to England, um, and in a state of shock between losing her father, between becoming queen, and then being queen for like 70 years, and the longest in the history. So just that overnight switch, but she kept her life very private at that. But so to kind of speculate a little bit on like at that age, like okay, and mentally, you're in the family, this could happen. But at the same time, I think she did resent a little bit her uncle Edward. I think Edward the I forget which number for Edward, who uh, decided to no longer be king, and her father, who was not intending to become king, in a very stressful time um, during World War II, and so uh, yeah, I think she didn't at that age. I think she didn't want to be queen. So there's things to reflect on there of like uh, duty, responsibility. Um, yeah, there's some topics there to reflect on. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to phrase it, but just this kind of like, how would you react if somebody told you like, okay, this at age 25, you're going to be doing something for the next 70 years. Um, that's you. That and generations of people are like, that's the only person they're going to know um, in that role. Um, yeah, those are some topics I'm thinking of for uh, the start of February, but trying to kind of find a little bit of a narrative there, and a looking forward, who we're becoming, and so yeah, there's I think there's even a way to look at that young Princess Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, of that kind of okay, I'm no longer this person. Uh, now what? Um, or I wasn't ready. Now what? I thought I had more time, that kind of a thing. Uh, and then, Groundhog Day, the movie, it's, it's all this guy has is he has just infinite time. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to put those two thoughts together of what does it take to be ready for change? We accept the change, like everything's constantly changing. But anyway, I have a lot of ideas going on in my head when we're at the beginning of the next month and the end of the month, and kind of putting together some of these first questions. But I have one last class that's about to start in a few minutes. But yeah. Hola a todos, hoy es el 31 de, de enero y ahorita estoy reflexionando como que algunos temas que vamos a abordar para empezar febrero, y estoy buscando temas que puedan estar un poco relacionados con crecimiento y cosas así. Am, entonces, había cosas de como el año lunar y como hablar de el el satélite que visitó la Luna para buscar lugares para llegar en la misión de Apolo 11. Entonces eso requiere planeación y estoy pensando también en el tema de la princesa Elisabetta um, cuando se convirtió en la reina al- a los 25 años y ese como cambio drástico sin anticiparlo en ese momento. Pues hay temas de eso que voy a reflexionar. Ahorita voy a tener una clase, entonces hablo muy breve ahorita. Bonjour tout le monde, aujourd'hui c'est le 31 janvier et ce matin je suis allé à l'école avec mes enfants et en rentrant, quand je prenais mon petit-déj et mon café, j'étais en train de réfléchir sur les sujets qu'on puisse aborder pour commencer février. Il y a quelques thèmes sur la croissance, le changement, comment une nouvelle personnalité et en choisissant un peu quelques, quelques thèmes qui peuvent être comme une narrative là-dessus. Je parle très brièvement parce que là, tout de suite, je vais avoir. Voilà. Hallo an alle, heute ist Freitag, der 31. Tag im Januar und heute Morgen war ich zur Schule mit meinen Kindern und danach aus habe ich Frühstück gegessen. Ich habe darüber Themas für die erste Woche im Februar gedenkt äh, und ich kann gar nichts zu sagen, aber es ist für verbessern und ein neuer Anfang. Und ja, das ist alles für heute. Ciao a tutti, oggi è venerdì, il 31 di gennaio e parlo un po' di cominciare febbraio e ehm, alcune domande, temi che ho pensato con la colazione. Ho incontrato alcune cose che mi piacerebbe discutere. Ora ho una lezione di inglese, ma questo è tutto per oggi. Всем привет! Сегодня пятница, 31 января, и сегодня утром я был в школе с моими детьми, и после этого, когда я позавтракал, я подумал много о темах, чтобы начать первую неделю в феврале. И я думаю, что это будет интересно. Сейчас у меня есть урок, занятие. Это все на сегодня. Большое спасибо. Пока.